happened, John?
Well, I don't regret anything in my life, really, because I've met Yoko and I'm very happy with her. And I feel as though if I didn't go through all that I went through, I wouldn't be with Yoko now. So I don't regret the past. I was just trying to live for this moment.
Especially for John, I can say that he's at least sort of outgrown, you know, whatever they were in, you know. Mm-hmm. Because I think it's very difficult for four artists who are so brilliant and talented to be together and do everything together, you know. I mean, just impossible almost. So whatever they were doing was almost miraculous, you know, that they were together at all.
With all the pressures and everything
yes,
that
yes,
they had.
and,
I guess the Hard Day's Night, everybody thought that was what life really was like for you, and that a man with a handheld camera had managed to capture the essence of Beatle life, and that it was always just flitting about in a lovely, carefree, joyful way.
Well,
was it ever like that?
It wasn't that carefree ever. It was a lot more pressure. That was a sort of comic strip version of what actually was going on, you know. Mm-hmm. Pressure was far heavier than that, you know? And that was written after the author spending about 3 days with us when we played in London and then in Dublin and then back in London again. He wrote the whole of the film based on our characters, you know, clod-hopping Ringo, sharp John, whimsical Paul and stern George, you know, all those, the Beatle character myths were formed from 3 days watching us, you know, which was a lot of junk, really.
Would you like me to get that for you?
No, thank you.
Oh.
I don't really
She's a female lib, you see.
That's why I hesitated, because I've had my fingers snapped off by ladies on the show that I tried to light.
But you do light men's cigarettes as well sometimes, if you feel like it. If you're feeling gay, you know.
I do.
Well, one does light any sexy cigarettes, Betty Rowling, don't we?
I mean,
John, I interrupted you, though, and
Did you?
I'm sorry, or
yes.
you were saying...
what I meant was, as a woman, you know, it's such a nuisance to have to wait for somebody, you know, that bit too.
And do you make a point of opening the door for yourself?
No, I don't make a point of it. You know, when I'm tired, it's always very nice if somebody opens. But I don't, you know, at the same time, I don't make a point about just waiting. You know, that is silly too, I think. You know.
Yeah, I think so too. I think I disrupted something there, or I interrupted it.
Well,
really. We were talking about the fact that the impression in the Beatles movie that was the
that was
sort
it,
of
really.
a comic strip version of what life's really like.
Well, that was all I had to say, really. It was a comic strip version, and it sort of stuck with us. And now for a small message from We'll Be Back. Something like that.
He's right about that. We have a station break, and we'll be back. We're back again. And wait. Yoko,
Yes.
You work in film.
Yes. I
Yeah,
do.
and John has referred to you somewhere.
Both do, actually. But, you know,
Both of you.
yes.
But John said somewhere that you were one of the best unknown artists in the world.
The most famous unknown artist in the world, she is, yes.
Yeah.
Because she's been in the so-called avant-garde world of New York for almost 15 years, producing...
How many?
15 years, about.
Well,
it's a long... 10.
Sounds like I'm
Something
very-
like that. And she was quite an established artist before she met me. And then once she met me, then she became Mrs. Lennon. And... that's when they started calling her a Japanese actress, you know, when in fact she never appeared in any movie up till then, and really, but mainly, and she'd been directing movies and having gallery shows and theatre shows and things like that, and then it got swamped with Mrs. Lennon, but now it's just about turning around. People are realising that she's an artist in her own right, but she's still the most famous unknown artist. Do you want to comment on that?
That was brought up because of this film that we're going to see.
Yeah, we have a piece of a film that you did. It's not, maybe the most famous film you did was one called Bottoms.
I think so.
Bottoms, which was in fact a film of bottoms.
It was called Number 4, actually.
Yeah.
364 bottoms, 5 bottoms, that was it.
364 or 365?
365 bottoms, one for each day of the year.
Day of the year, yeah.
But it actually didn't contain 365 because I thought, well, nobody's going to really... It's a conceptual number, you know, and they couldn't possibly count it, so...
You mean that in some cases the bottoms were the same one posing as other
there might be
bottoms?
about 100 in it. You see, the interesting thing about the film is all the bottoms were the intellectual and artist people in London. And the soundtrack of the film is all of them trying to explain and be very uncomfortable about why they're taking the trousers off. Some guy saying, well, I normally do Shakespeare, you know. And then you see his bottom just, and it's not cut to each bottom, but the whole screen is just 2 bottoms to each side of the buttocks walking like that. Yeah. And all these comments are saying, well, you know, like I normally do Shakespeare, and what's it all about, and the real philosophy about taking your trousers off, and they're all jabbering on like that.
They're intellectuals. Rationalize it somehow, you know, so they bring out Gurdjieff and Sartre and everybody out, you know, before they just take off their pants. And it was really funny. But the point was that I was asking to look for intellectual bottoms, you know. They have
intellectual bottoms.
Yes, yeah. And so they would say, well, is this intelligent enough or whatever, you know. Yeah. And when you look at it on the screen, it's just all the same, and that was the point, you know.
There's a show here called New Faces. What would you call... Well, never mind. Can we take a look at the piece of film you have?
You going to explain about it?
Tell us what we should look for.
May I just quickly say that this is a female lead film in sort of a quiet sort of way. And it's like a diary, you know. It's about a woman who's naked and who's lying down. And the fly sort of crawling over her body. And later it gradually becomes 4 and 5 flies all crawling over her body. And the message is like, you know, there's lots of things in it and all sorts of level of understanding, I'm sure, but it has something to do with, you know, a life of a woman who is more like taking it rather than, you know, doing it positively. The flies crawling over you and just taking it, you know.
Passive woman. Let's take a look at that. Oh, we'll take a look at that in exactly 6 seconds because the film has a certain amount of
exactly 6 fingers time we'll look at it.
About now.
Take me away, 'cause I'm going.
There's more to the movie, of course. That was
it
only...
goes from head right through up to the toe and back again. From head to toe.
Oh, yeah.
And you notice the women always giggle. It was shown at the Cannes Film Festival, and it got an ovation, believe it or not. And but the women always giggle like mad, especially as it's getting higher.
Yeah. Just before it was getting very interesting, you know, I mean, sort of.
It was just getting interesting, but of course we're on TV.
Yes, this is television, after all.
This isn't Channel 13, is it?
I didn't even know you could...
More! Steady rolling. Aye, aye. I don't wish to know
when the censor found out the movie was called The Fly, you can't imagine what he thought.
Imagine.
Maybe you can. The
That's
Fly,
a good
you
joke
must have
when the
done an
album's
enormous number of retakes to get The Fly to do.
We had an enormous number of flies. In fact, the credits are almost as long as the film because there's so many people catching flies from the back of dirty New York restaurants and things like that. And then we were catching them in the room.
Yeah.
The girl was very good, and her
Who
name
was that?
Virginia Lust.
Virginia Lust, L-U-S-T?
Yeah, L-U-S-T. Get out of that.
Did the movie lead to other roles for her or The Fly?
I should hope so. I think
Well, after 2 years of making movies, we made about, say, 12 together and apart. And we finally got deals here with people called Genesis in America and somebody else in Britain. And they'll be going around all the different colleges. So before our films hadn't really been seen, so nobody really knows that we're filmmakers. Yeah. We've had them in Cannes Festival. They did all right in there. We had them in the Edinburgh Festival. There's a chance they're going in the New York Festival. They're definitely going in the San Francisco Festival. And they should be later this year starting to, about 5 of them probably will tour America. So
you're serious about film?
Oh, sure. Film is, well, it's like recording only with your eyes, you know. You just make it visually and it's just as interesting. And to combine the both is really interesting.
How would you feel about me if I were to ask if Bottoms was shown at the Cannes Festival?
Bottoms wasn't, no.
That was a bad joke.
That was a joke.
Oh, yeah. Well, that answers my question.
Yes, we'll be back after this.
No, wait a minute. Will you explain the people in the bags before the evening is out?
Yes.
Not now, but before the evening is over.
Are you going to tell a story of how you started the bag event?
Yes, well, that was when some composer was going to visit me from Europe, and I was sort of, I didn't really want to meet because I'm basically a very shy person. And then I thought, well, people don't believe me when I say I'm very shy, but we're both actually. And then I thought, no, I don't want to meet him, but then there wasn't anything I can do. So finally, he was coming, and it was about an hour before he was coming, and I couldn't do anything about it. So I just, out of desperation, made a bag, and I was in the bag when he came to visit me.
An all-over bag or just over your head?
All over.
All over.
Yes.
That's
and
a terrific
so he was saying,
idea.
well, where's Miss Ono and all that? And, oh, yes, well, it's you, is it? And all that. And he was pretty calm about it because he's heard of my work and all that. So he thought, oh, is this your, musical piece or something? And,
Yeah.
I mean, it was very comfortable, because then I didn't have to be seen, I could see him, but I couldn't.
And there's no
That's a
prejudice.
great
If people are in bags, if a black man goes for a job in a bag, if everybody had to go in a bag for a job, there'd be no prejudice, you see. You'd have to judge people on the quality within, and we call it total communication. We were asked to make a film for Austrian TV, which we did, called Rape, which wasn't a rape, but it was called Rape. It was rape by camera, in fact. And when we went to Austria to show it, we did a press conference there in a bag, and it was great because all the press came in, and they never saw us. We were just both in a bag, and they interviewed the bag, and they're saying, "Oh, is it really you? And what are you wearing? And will you sing a song?" And that. And why us? And they said, "What is this?" And I said, "It's total communication." They said, "But why did you pick on us? We've never seen a Beatle." And it was beautiful. And they were saying, "Do you realize the Habsburgs lived here?" And we're saying, "Yeah, so." And it was a great press conference, and they all had a very serious conversation with the bag. And next day, the headlines in Austria were, the show of bag, and all the important press men all just talking to it. So those are in the audience. We have 2 friends which are
who are in fact in bags.
We must take a break now. Yes.
That's right. We will take a break, and we will get to them after that. Stay with us. Would everyone wearing a bag please step up here so we could see what the 2 people in the second row? I've never had.
Let it down, mate.